the external one is the same thing like I wrote here, you understand? But because we are going outside here, we are creating another file. That's why it's called external. It is not here inside. That's why this one is internal. But the one you are referring outside is what? External. It's like when you have a link and you have a what? A page and you are linking the page to. For instance, if here we have a link, right? And we have another page here. For instance, we have index and we are linking this page. We say index.html, right? So we can write home. So when we click home, we are referring to this home. You understand? So that is why normally we do with external CSS. And how is it done? First of all, let me close this, right? And then the same thing, but first of all, because it is outside, we first what? Create a file, right? So let's see our file. We normally name it style.css. You can name it different name, but normally we prefer to use style because it is a style, it's CSS. So we just write style.css. So what do you understand by this extension? What do you understand by this extension? If I write .css, what do you understand by it?
Is the file path?
It's a file for CSS. You understand? Remember that I told you about extension. When you see dot something, it means that is the what? The name of that what? The extension of that file. So if you are saying style.css, it means that .css is the what? The file of CSS. Now if I wrote here .html is the file of HTML, right? So now if I click enter, now we have a different file, right? 1 minute, let me solve this. So now we have different file here. Right?
Yeah.
So look at what we've done. We have what? Now this one is what we call external CSS. So now it's a file now, right? So here we can write whatever we wrote initially. What did we wrote? We were talking about body, right? We're talking about body. So before we can link this, normally what we do is that we can write our CSS here. The same thing as we did here, this one. But because this one, we already added the CSS, that CSS already tells us that this file is CSS. So we don't need to add this style element again. We don't need to write this. So for instance, normally we choose to write it like this. When it is internal, we wrote it like this, right? Anyway, remove all this. Can you see how it is written?
Yeah.
Normally what we do, we wrote style in style, right? And we write body. We are targeting the body. And we give it what? The property, which is the color. And here we are targeting the H1. We give it font size and the color, right? But here, it gives you error because you are telling the browser that you have a file called CSS, this. And then inside, you are also bringing another style again. So it is confused. It is crashing each other. So instead of this element shouldn't be there because we already have the name here, CSS. So clear this element. You don't need this element star here. You understand? So now this style that you have here, here, you don't need it because this file that you see, .css, already built in that style. It is a style itself. That is a file, it's style, like the way we have HTML. You understand? So you don't need to add that style inside here. You understand? So you may ask, for now we have looking at or we target the body and the H1 here, right? This is the body and H1 here. We give it a background color brown. You understand? So why is it not affecting this? Can you guess something?
Mm,
We've added what? We've targeted the body and we've targeted H1 and we wrote it here as the style. We added our background color, our font size. So why is it not coming here? Why is it not
because
affecting
there is
this?
no style element.
Hmm?
Because we did not add style element.
No, the style, I told you that we don't need the style here
Mm,
because style.css, this is a CSS file. You understand? Are you understand? This is a CSS file. Yeah, so for instance, here, let's take it here. I don't have money. I'm giving an example, right? Here, I supposed to have, let's say, $100, right? So here, because I don't have $100, I have what style. You understand? For example, style is my $100, and here inside here I don't have what $100, so I have to bring that style here. But here I already have that $100 here, so I don't need to bring style. Hope you understand. That $100 is already inside this thing, style.css. So I don't need style here again. I just need to just apply or just start typing my style.
I, I think here you did not write the text. That's why it's not showing.
No, I'm sure we don't. I said we don't need that to write the style because if you could understand when I
Not the
start to write
style, the text here. H1 text. You did not bring it here.
with test,
You just bring H1 here, and
this is
you
H1, right?
yeah.
And this is body.
But where is the text here? Like inline CSS. You did not bring it here. Like
Which
it's kind
inline
of
CSS?
empty here.
Which inline CSS?
Like
This one.
here is different file that we are using here.
Yeah, this different file,
Yeah,
but it
so
is
we're
what?
supposed to write something here because it look empty here. Or
But remember that this one is also what? .css, not .html, right?
mm,
This is what?
yeah.
.css and this is .html. So this is the style. This is our building. And this is our what? Paint. Right?
Mm,
So you cannot say that I have to bring this building inside the paint. How can it be possible? The building has to be separate and the paint has to be separate. You understand? So there should be a link that can link between the paint and the building. Because now what I did is I already have the paint and then have the building, which is this, right? But there is no paint. But when it was internal, the paint is already inside the structure. How you understand now?
yeah.
When I was here, this was the structure. And the paint, that's why I wrote style. The paint was already inside the structure. So when I add this style like this, you see that the color is affected. This color, they are affected because the paint is inside that HTML. That's why it is internal, right? But now I've moved out of this. I've removed this color here inside. I've removed it, and then I came here and put it outside. Some different file. You understand? And I was asking, why is it not coming? Why is it not affecting? It is because of something. That something is how we don't have anything to link it up to this. So we should get something that can link to the what? To the structure. So to get that, we have to what? Come here inside the header. Then we can write link, right? We can write link at element, relation, and to what? Style sheets, right? Style sheets. Then we bring our source, right? We bring our source. What source are we going to bring? The source is this. Remember, when we were using the link or the image, we had a source, right? So we have to what?
Yeah.
Have that source, which is this style.css, which can link it. So we can write style.css. See, immediately I start typing, it came. Then we have to tell the browser the type of, right? So it's like normally what you normally write is we can just looking at the if you start writing link, it give you the option. Look at link CSS. You can just choose link CSS. And look at what happened. Immediately I wrote, you see, to link up. Without this wouldn't work here. So I have to get something that can link it to the what? The building. So this is our building and this is our what? Paint. So I have to get something to build. And that person, let's say, is a person. So this link will serve as someone, a person who's going to paint the house, right? You can say this is a link. And link, we have href, which is what? The style.css. href. Reference. I told you the last time. href. Reference. You understand? And then where it is referencing our style.css, which is here. And then we are telling that we are linking this in relation with the style sheet. The style sheet. So you always have to put this in your mind when you are adding an external CSS like this. So here, immediately you start writing anything, it will get affected. So you can come here and say you are going to add something like you are going to target maybe the paragraph. You can come here and say P, curly brackets, and then we start typing what do you want to add to that paragraph. You can say you want font size. Then the paragraph, we can say we want maybe 50 pixels. I hope you understand.
Mm.
You see, so 50 pixels. So I'm targeting this P, which is this. But externally, this is separate file. This is separate file. So if I go and delete this file, all my color will gone. That's why it is what CSS. So that's why it is separated so that you create the structure separately and create your color separately. You understand? But you have to link it using this code to link it. So this code is serve as like a person who is going to paint the house. So these are house, these are color. So the person is going to take the paint and paint the structure. You understand?
Mm.
So you always have to understand that link always goes with the external. This link always goes with external. And then for internal, you have to make sure there is a style around it. Understand? So that is what we need to know about the external. So if you understand, let me test your knowledge. Let me delete this link, and then I'll delete this and see whether you can be able to do something. So let's see. So assuming I don't have any CSS affecting my HTML. So I want to create an external CSS. What should I do?
We have to write a link that
We have to write a
will.
link. But first of all, we have to know the file before you write a link, right?
We have to create a file.
Okay, I have to create a CSS file. So I come here and say I'm creating a file and I give it a name. What name do you normally write or give it to?
Star.css.
Style.css. Then I have my style.css file open, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then how can I link it? Or should I just start writing my own CSS, or I should just first of all link it?
We have to go to the index.html to
Okay.
create a link there so that
Okay.
it
So
will
I
be
create a link
connected to
here.
the
So I see
other
link.
file.
So immediately I start typing link, I'll get what? Link CSS. I can just choose that one, right? Because normally that is the default one. If you choose it, it automatically give you what? The full distance, link, relation, style sheet, href, or you can type it by yourself if you want. You can start typing link, relation, or rel is equal to, then you type style sheet. You understand? You type style sheet, and then you type what? href, and then you navigate. So this href is where you are linking to this. So normally you always have to know where exactly you have this file. That's why we did file path, if you remember. So because this index and the file are arranged or they are sitting near to each other, I just write the name. So I just write style CSS like this. And if this were to be in a folder, let's say this was in a folder called CSS. So if I took this and put it inside this, it means that my CSS file is here inside this folder. So now I have to make sure I navigate it correctly, which I can give a dot / Then I go inside my CSS. Then I find my style. Now I've linked it correctly, right? Now I have linked it correctly because now I go outside because I'm sitting here. I go outside and enter inside the CSS and then take the file, this. So now since I've linked it, now I can start coding my external CSS. So what are we going to target?
The body.
Okay, you can target the body and then curly brackets, enter, and then start typing maybe background color, and then the color, you see. So immediately I type it affected. So when you are doing something like this, and you notice that when you apply the color, it's not working, it means that this linking that you did here did not work or is not correct or you didn't do it well. You understand? Imagine I was supposed to write it like this, dot / then I forgot and I changed this and I wrote something like this. I wrote something like this. See, it's not working because the linking is not linked correctly. So even whatever you write here, maybe you go and say you write H1, curly bracket, font size, maybe you give it 200 pixels. nothing will work. I understand. Because it's not working because this has a problem. The linking is not correct. So make sure the linking is correct. Because I'm inside a folder. My style is not in line with this index. It is inside another folder. So first of all, I have to go outside because I'm sitting here. I'm here. This is a place. So I have to bring my dot / then I'll go inside the CSS. Then I go take my. When I did that, you see that H1 is affected. This H1 that I did, 200 pixels is affected to all the H1. So I can now change this to maybe let's see 20 or 50. You understand?
Yeah.
So that is how we add CSS to our HTML elements. You understand? So that is a simple way of understanding inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. So I want you to go and then sit down and look at it very, very well, because most of the times the one we normally use is the external one because the professional one. I understand, because it separates our HTML with our CSS so that you can have a separate files working differently. You understand? But if you were to be using inline CSS, it will make your code very bad. The structure will be very bad. You are working with element and you are working with CSS. It look bad. You understand? It look very bad. So the best way is to separate each file. This has its own file. This has its own file. So you are working with this, and then you are also working with this. You understand? So that is why mostly when people want to do things, they will just make it separate and work on this. Always what you just need to do with CSS is just target what you want to apply the CSS to. You understand? If it is a button, you can see, I want to apply it to the button. Then I can go in, since I've already linked it, and it is working, I can come here and say, oh, I want to target the button, curly brackets. I want to add padding. Padding maybe 20 pixels. So it's affected. Maybe border radius, let's say 20 pixels. You see, it's border radius. And I can come and say, I don't want the border, I want the border to be none. It's none, empty border. Or I want the border to be 2 pixels dashed, and then the color may be green. Let's see. Or maybe red, because green doesn't, color is red. See, it is red. Maybe I can increase the thickness 5. Understand? So now you understand that it is working. So always the trick is, whenever you are adding or you are linking that CSS, what you first need to do is, whenever you want to know that, or if you are following first of all, we add the link, right? So first of all, have to create let's say I'm just going to delete this. Let me say I'm going to delete this. Like for instance, I've created my HTML. So I said, no, I'm going to use external CSS. First of all, create your file, create your CSS file. I come here, style.css. Then I'll leave it and go back to the HTML. Then I'll create the linking. Come here, link. I choose this one, link CSS. Then it's already give me the name because style.css is already filled in. Look. unless maybe the path is different or the CSS is in another folder that you can change the what the file path. But if you always do it this way, if this one is sitting beside this, it's always easier. So it has linked correctly. And so now you want to know that is it linked correctly? Then you come here and see body, background color, blue. Now immediately you see blue, you know that the linking that you did here is correct. So it's working. So now you've linked it. You don't have problem. How you understand?
Yeah.
So that is the easiest way you have to know. First create the CSS file, create the link, how to link it, and test it. Is it working using the body? You understand? You link it and try it using the body. So everything will be easier for you. Immediately you type the body and you see that the color is here. Yes, it's working. And that is it. So that is how we add external CSS. Because sometimes you can even add or do both of them. Both the internal, the external, the inline, all of them you can do it at once. While you have already linked this, you can also come here and say you want to add what? Internal CSS. You come here and say each one. Fonts, font color, let me say color. And say I want white. You see, this one is what? Internal. This one is external, right? This one is linking to the external, and this one is internal, right? And then you can still go inside and add any inline CSS that you want to add. Maybe I'll go and add what? Here and say style, color, yellow. Or maybe let me add red, so that's, you see, this is red. Maybe I can add a font size to change it to be something like bigger, 20 pixels. And that's that. So this one is what? Inline CSS. This one is what? Internal, right? And the background is what we have external. So all of them, you can add it inside the same what? Project that you are doing. You understand? But the best option or the best way is to just leave all of them and then do the external one so that it will be separate. This one will be only HTML and this one will also be only CSS. You understand?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question. What do you think will happen if, for instance, I have H1 and I give it a color of maybe red, like red, right? Right? And
Yeah.
it affects all of them, right? And then I come here, this H1, and I want to add a star of what? A color. If I add the color, what do you think? Will the color that I'm adding for this override this? What do you
It
think?
is for the one that you apply.
Yeah, I'm talking about, for instance, now I already apply the color to the H1, right? Which H1 will affect all of the H1 here, right? So if I go inside one of the H1 like this, and then add this inline CSS, and I change the color to maybe let's say red, or maybe I'll give it a maybe aqua color. What do you think? Do you think this first H1 will change to aqua color or it will remain this red color?
It will change
It will change. Why?
mm,
You are right, it will change, but why?
because that one is internal.
That
You
one is
choose to
internal.
apply.
Yeah, you are right. That one is internal. You are right. But the thing is, the best answer is because mostly inline CSS are very stronger than the external or the internal ones. You understand? Because you are applying this directly. You remember, this one was what? Attribute, right? Remember, this one was what? Attribute.
Yeah.
But this one was what? Element, right? So
Yeah.
there's attribute and the element. Which one will be stronger? Definitely the attribute, because the attribute is directly applied to the H1. So when I see aqua, what happened? The H1 changed to this aqua color, but H1 of the internal CSS is supposed to be what? This color, which is red, right? Right?
Yeah.
So always, that's why normally we say it's better just to stop or don't use this inline CSS and use what the external ones. But if you want something to be changed maybe once at a time, then you can just use the inline one, maybe at once. Maybe it's not you don't want it to change entirely in the website. You just want it to be done once and it's okay. So just maybe you can apply this for in this case. You understand? Mhm. So that is how it is. And assuming also, if you have this background color as blue and you want to change this background color, right? You can also use this thing. If I write body and the background color, I change the background color to this color. You see, it override the first color, right? You see, it override the first color, right?
Yeah.
But what about if I say this one? If I say like important, what happened? It goes back to the initial one, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying that I want blue color. Here too, I want one brown color. But if I don't specify the significance or the importance of this color, it will just use the second color, the last color that I added, because this one is what the final. It means that this is my final decision. So if I see background color, body, then another background color, and I brought what? Maybe let's say this color. It takes the final, this is my final decision. So it override all these things. But if I want and say, no, I know that I put this to be my final decision, but I want this to be what? To be important, to be very important. So ignore all the others and take this serious, this color serious. So that's why I add important. You understand now? So now it tells me that oh, now this is what I wanted. This is my final decision, which is important. But if I left it like that, it will automatically choose the final decision, which is the third one. So that is what this keyword important is. So when you see it inside any code, that is the significance or importance of it. Okay.
Okay.